Welcome to the UMB Pulse. I'm Charles Shalee.
I'm Dana Rampola.
And I'm Jena Frick.
And on this edition, we will be talking to Community Engagement Center Director Tyrone Roper. He's going to tell us all about the in-person events not only returning to the CEC, but at their new building.
Yes, and as we mentioned in our last episode, we are actually right now recording here at 16 South Poppleton St on the third floor of the Community Engagement Center.
Before we get to Tyrone, let's catch you up on some return to campus information. If you would like to skip ahead to the interview with Tyrone, this episode is time-stamped in most players to allow you to jump forward.
And this is your Pulse Check. If you lost your COVID-19 vaccination card, there are several ways to retrieve your records. Those who were vaccinated at the UMB clinic can download proof through My Portfolio. You can find a link to the My Portfolio portal in your vaccination appointment email or on the UMB Recovery website at www.umaryland.edu/coronavirus. If you run into any trouble with My Portfolio, you can call 1-844-281-8667 or email myportfoliosupport@umm.edu. Once you've logged into My Portfolio, your COVID-19 vaccine information should be on the screen. If you were vaccinated somewhere other than UMB, you can download proof of your COVID-19 vaccinations at the Maryland Department of Health vaccine portal, and that's located at MD as in Maryland, munet.org. You can also get your vaccination card reissued by contacting the vaccine site directly or the Maryland GoVax hotline at 1-855-634-6829.
An updated telework agreement will be released in August. The revised UMB telework policy will go into effect on August 15th. This will replace the COVID-19 status of operation and telework policy. Employees will not be allowed to regularly telework from a remote work site outside of the state of Maryland unless they have made an arrangement with their supervisor and it's been approved by UMB's out-of-state work policy. Allowing employees to telework 3 or more days a week will require permission from the appropriate dean, vice president, or designee, and supervisors have the discretion for employees requesting to telework 1 or 2 days a week. Details on eligibility and other frequently asked questions can be found on the ELM.
And that's your UMB Pulse Check.
Getting back to the Community Engagement Center, also known as the CEC, as we love to say, they've been doing quite a bit during the pandemic, serving the community when they need it the most. Jena, community engagement is actually one of your beats in media relations. Mm-hmm. And Dana, you've worked closely with community engagement on marketing, so you've been both very close to this.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. For 3 years now, I've been working with the Community Engagement Center. I was with them when they were in that very small one-room space over on...
Or you can see it out the window.
Yeah, you can see it out the window, yeah. I was like trying to name the street, like I was like, oh, I know all this stuff, but I completely forgot.
Is that Baltimore Street?
It is Baltimore Street.
It's still Poppleton.
Yeah.
Poppleton and Baltimore. We're at a different block of Poppleton.
Right, exactly. And like you said, we can actually see it out the window right now. So I was with them when they were still in that one room little space. I was with them when they announced, the brand new building reimagining is what we called it, because it's, renovated and keeping the old historic structure intact.
Yeah. And it's beautiful
it's
here,
gorgeous.
Isn't it? The big windows, all the light, but it still has a lot of the integrity of the old building.
Mm-hmm. And we love working with the Community Engagement Center and all the people in the Office of Community Engagement.
Yeah. Before I came to UMB, I didn't realize that some universities do this. And it's so compelling to be able to share their story with family, friends, young people who are looking for colleges, just to say, hey, this is something really, really cool to look for in a school if you like community engagement.
Yeah, and volunteer work and things like that. They have lots of different opportunities for that. And on top of that, they have all this really great weekly free programming for anyone in the community who is interested can come. They have exercise classes like Zumba and line dancing every week, yoga. They even have someone from the medical center coming and helping you figure out what your fitness goals are, like giving you like weight checks and nutritional resources and taking your like blood pressure and cholesterol and stuff. It's very cool. And like actually from when they started doing the exercise programs to like a few weeks later, a lot of people in the community were seeing progress towards their fitness goals, which is really cool because, they were actually able to see that happen over time. But yeah, and then we also have, really great youth programming here.
All different ages and different interest levels too. So it's not just the exercise, but it's like you said, there's health components. There are activities for students so that they can be engaged and be learning whether it's STEM or, all the 3D printing they do and all kinds of stuff to be catching us up on.
And the PAL program also, the Police Athletics and Activities League, where kids in the neighborhood develop this really great relationship with the UMB Police Department. And they're all so wonderful. They did like a puppet show at a local theater last year together. And it's really great watching the kids and the officers having such a great mentor-mentee relationship and all that jazz. So the center brings a lot of really great stuff to the community.
As we learned on the last episode, you're terrified of horses, yet you had a really cool event here with horses that actually made it on national TV. Tell us about that.
Yes. So the program is called City Ranch. So the Community Engagement Center partnered with City Ranch to bring horseback riding into the community. So we literally, in the middle of the city on this little green space, we had horses set up in a corral, and the kids ages 8 to 15, I believe, were able to sign up for this program. It was 10 weeks. The first 2 weeks, they met every single day, and they went through an intensive training workshop on horsemanship. So they learned the anatomy of the horse, how to take care of one, how to put the saddle on, and how the basics of riding. And then for the next 8 weeks, they were meeting once a week and just learning to trot, learning to do little jumps and stuff. And it's really, really cool because the whole point of the program is that, being able to provide access to the equestrian industry to kids who maybe wouldn't normally have that, whether that's because of transportation issues or financial issues or something like that. But this shows that they are able to ride a horse without really leaving their neighborhood, which is very cool.
And Maryland is horse country, and we have Pimlico right up the road from here too.
Yep.
So how did Tyrone Hall get involved in all this?
Well, I reached out to a bunch of different media outlets to let them know that we were having this really great program, and it really took off. We had all of the local TV stations coming out doing the story, and then Tyrone Hall came out to interview the owner of City Ranch and all the kids in the program and everything. So it was
awesome.
It was very cool. There was also a reporter and a photographer from the Horse Channel here, which I had never heard of. They have a DC bureau, but they're based in Texas, so they were out here also doing a story on the
Horse Channel.
The Horse Channel.
Now I knew you had. Did RFD come out?
Wait, I'm sorry. No, it was the Cowboy Channel, not the Horse Channel. Wow, Dana, it's my turn to have a mix-up on the podcast. It was the Cowboy Channel, not the Horse Channel.
You would think there would be a Horse Channel, though. Probably most of the horse channels are probably the off-track betting.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm sure there's a TikTok for that.
Yeah, we are not promoting that. Let's be very clear.
All right, enough horsing around, everybody. So let's bring out our guest. He is the director of the Community Engagement Center, Tyrone Roper. Welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great seeing you here in the Community Engagement Center. I met you at the old Community Engagement Center during my little tour. You're going to tell us more about the building later and about yourself.
Yeah, but before we get to talking about the CEC, we want to hear more about you in a segment we call Introduce Yourself.
Okay.
So, all right. So how this is going to work, it's like the summer camp icebreakers. We're going to do two truths and a lie. So you're going to tell us two truths about yourself and a lie, and then we're going to have to guess which one is which.
Got it. Ready.
All right. Go for it.
I can squat 800 pounds.
Impressive.
I love speed.
Like the movie?
No, speeding.
Oh, like in cars?
In his car.
Okay.
That's a bad habit of mine, or is it? And then lastly, I enjoy skydiving.
I think I know which one it is, but I also know you pretty well, Tyrone, because I worked with you for a while. So I'm going to let these guys guess first.
I'm going to guess the first and the third one are truths. So you don't like speeding.
I'm going to guess that you don't like skydiving.
I'm going to say the same. You don't like skydiving.
Correct. I do not like skydiving.
So does that mean you skydove before and you didn't like it, or just that you will never attempt to skydive?
I have such a terrible fear of heights. Literally, if I'm too high, I have to brace myself and hold on to something. It's like my legs are getting ready to give out. Mm-hmm. So I don't do heights well.
Mm. So when they built this building, you made sure anything above 3 floors, I'm out.
This is probably my 5th time coming up to the 3rd floor.
Oh, really?
Wow. Wow. So I guess you were never on the roof when they were putting up those like Wi-Fi towers or anything then?
No. I have been up on the roof once. But yeah, I don't make that a frequent stop.
For sure. Yeah. I can understand that. I'm not a huge fan of heights either.
Yeah.
Well, and is there any thought, since you obviously do lift 800 pounds, that all that bulk and muscle, you might just drop like a rock?
No, it's not even that. I feel like it is just something I'm shamefully having to confess. I'm just afraid of heights.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we all have our things.
I remember visiting the CN Tower in Toronto one time. They have one of those glass panes in the floor. And I think they do have like the Willis Tower or Sears Tower.
Yeah, I've done that in Chicago.
And once your legs go on that, I'm wobbly, and I thought I was like going to turn into Jello and just like fall like right there.
I've been there also, and I had the same sensation. I was like freaking out for a second, and then I moonwalked off of it because why not?
Can you imagine doing that over the Grand Canyon? Have you seen that where they have that?
I've seen it.
That I think would be really...
No, just helicopter ride. I'm fine with. Actually, in the comfort of coach class in Southwest, looking out the window.
Nice.
Well, let's get to talking a little bit about the CEC. The CEC has always been very active in the community, and when the pandemic hit, you found some really unique ways to stay connected and continue to bring resources and services to the community, Tyrone. But let's talk for a minute first about you being part of the CEC. You actually came on during the pandemic, right?
Right at the beginning. And I say it often, and I just believe it to be true. I still feel like I'm in an orientation phase. I started December 23rd of 19. And during that time, you have to remember it's vacation time. A lot of folks are on vacation.
Right.
So as folks started to come back from vacation after the new year, I literally had a month, about February. And I started to gradually meet folks. And then March, the pandemic hit. And the virtual experience had become my reality. I started to meet more people just through virtual experiences. And that the virtual experience here has become what I know, you know, and that's interesting because it's just a new space for me. So as we're transitioning out of it, I'm becoming more just accustomed to what I'm used to, just in-person conversations with people, being able to interact that way. So, yeah, it was interesting. You know, I came on right at the beginning of all of this and, you know, really worked like heck with neighbors and other grassroots organizations and housing development units to be able to support folks based on the concerns and needs I heard.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that you were doing to kind of support the people in the community and everything like that through the pandemic? I mean, like you said, you were really new to the community. A lot of people probably didn't really know you that well. What was that like for you, and what sort of things were you providing for them?
Being new, it's not an awkward space, so I know how to maneuver through all of that.
Yeah, you're very personable.
I was able to really develop some relationships pretty quickly. One of the first relationships I was able to develop was with Vintage Gardens. They're a resource coordinator there. So she and I really developed a strong bond. So she had a number of residents, older residents, that had expressed concerns around things they needed. Through our partnership with United Way of Central Maryland, we were able to reach out and say, look, how can you guys help in certain capacities? So one of the first things that happened is we received an enormous amount of diapers and baby wipes and baby formula that came to the center. So the old center was really just an open space, and it was saturated with diapers of every number.
I remember coming in to see you. I think I was just taking pictures of boxes being stuffed for the PAL kids, and the entire floor was just covered in boxes of Pampers and stuff.
And they went. People were really in need of that stuff. It was very appreciated by neighbors that we were able to support young parents, existing parents, to be able to get diapers, especially the formula. That's pricey. So we're able to hand out the formulas. And through some other partnerships, we were able to create care packages for older adults that had some minor food items in there. Non-perishable items were in those packages. We did that. And then as we continued to transition through, we developed a partnership with Holly Poultry. they donated about a little more than 2,000 pounds of chicken.
Wow.
And that is a lot of chicken.
And do you want to tell the story of how that chicken was delivered to everyone?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm laughing because I was there through it.
Well, it wasn't squatted, so I can assure you that. So through another partnership with the Arab Society, the Arabbers, we were able to partner with them because they have such strong relationships in the community. So we broke all of the chicken up together and we loaded it on their carts. And they, as opposed to what you folks are accustomed to, the fruits and vegetables, it was frozen chicken they were handing out. So we went throughout West Baltimore handing out the frozen chicken to people. And then there was another donation that came in as well with bread, loaves of bread. So individuals were getting frozen chicken and loaves of bread. And I have to tell you, they were running to the carts to be able to pick this up. Absolutely.
That was a time where people were afraid to go out for anything. So I'm sure that was a welcome relief.
Absolutely.
I was wondering, with the frozen chicken, you said people were running. I would think if someone's yelling out free chicken coming down the street, I'd probably be taking a look at them. I'm like, are you serious? You're giving me a whole chicken? Right.
Now, remember, though, the Arabbers are the ones that have the relationship. They're the trusted entity. And the one thing I've always said is, as a UMB employee, the one of the greatest things that we bring as an institution is we bring resource capital, right? So we're able to leverage the resources under the UMB umbrella, but we lack the human capital. So we don't really have those, as we would like, the strong enough relationships as a lot of these grassroots organizations have. So they bring the human capital. They're the trusted entity. So we take this resource and we then couple it with that partner who has the human capital. They're saying, look, this is who we are. People know who we are. Free chicken, free bread. I know exactly who that is offering it, so I trust them. And then they go and pick it up.
Great.
Yep.
And so you weren't just offering physical resources and donations to people. You also were providing digital resources like free Wi-Fi. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the free Wi-Fi came through a partnership with the Waves Foundation, Digital Harbor Foundation as well. So the goal here was to be able to, we're in the middle of a pandemic. One of the things is that the pandemic highlighted for us is it really highlighted the haves from the have-nots. And we didn't really understand how important it was to be able to have internet access until the pandemic hit. So as a result of that, we found that many of our neighbors here within the footprint of UMB did not have internet access. And you think about the schooling, all of the schooling had to be virtual. A lot of the families didn't have access to that. So what we did, and then also in partnership with the biopark, we were able to leverage the internet service from the biopark, pull from their service, place an antenna on top of our building and other buildings throughout our kind of southwest footprint. And it would allow neighbors within a certain proximity to be able to tap in and to receive free Wi-Fi services. Nice. So they're then able to benefit from the internet.
Right. And you also, on top of that, were providing them with people to call to actually get them all set up with it as well. So they weren't running into issues of, being on hold for hours waiting for someone to help them set it up.
So that technical assistance was available for people because it's a number of spaces that you have to be willing and prepared to support. One is now you have free internet access. You have Wi-Fi connections. But I don't know how to use a laptop. Better yet, I don't even have a laptop. So what do? So through a donation from Marco and Debbie Chacon, we were able to purchase 100 Chromebooks that we then handed out to our neighbors. And the neighbors were then able to use their device, connect to the Wi-Fi. If those individuals did not know how to use those devices, we created cheat sheets, if you would, that would help folks know how to navigate their own Chromebook so they're able to access and connect to the internet.
How's that Wi-Fi program doing right now?
It's still operational. It's still on top of the building and the other buildings in which it was situated. So folks can still, within the proximity of the Community Engagement Center, get connected. So that's still available.
And then there's also a different program or partnership with Comcast that also set up like 100 families, or was it, how many families did the partnership with Comcast get set up?
I believe it was right at 100 families in which the intended goal was to be able to reach them. And it allowed those families to be able to connect to the Comcast service. That was what that partnership was about.
Right, for a year of free Wi-Fi, which is also happening right now still. They'll have the Wi-Fi until December, I believe, and then possibly extending it after that. There was talks about it. I'm not sure. Yes, fingers crossed.
Tyrone, what about the children in the community? Were you able to do anything specifically to help them?
We were. And, a lot of the supports that we were able to provide them, again, in the beginning it was so challenging because we were really limited in how you could engage people. You had to wear a mask. There was such strong mandates around the social distancing guidelines. So we had to quickly transition into a mode in which we could still provide programming to young people. So we weren't able to do a hybrid model at that point, so it was completely virtual. So young people were able to tap in and connect with our programming efforts through a virtual manner, logging onto the computers. We would then participate in PAL. And then we also had a food program where we had lunches that were made available for our PAL participants, our PAL youth. Every time there was a PAL day in which the programming was happening, we were delivering lunches to young people as well through this effort. So we had lunches going to larger families, and then we were providing lunches specifically to our PAL youth as well.
And where did those lunches come from?
From the Nook, through a partnership. So again, through a donation from Marco and Debbie Chacon, they provided a donation that allowed us to partner with the Nook, who provided lunches for our PAL youth.
It's amazing the generosity of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really amazing.
Absolutely.
Another thing that you all were doing, providing resources, you were also providing information about the vaccine effort and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was huge. So one of the biggest pushes is to ensure that we were providing information where individuals could really kind of educate themselves around the vaccinations and what's happening. It was challenging because there were so many stigmas around the vaccine. You know, does it work? Does it not work? What should I be concerned about? So we began to have different efforts where we were pushing information about vaccines and providing information. Kelly Duran has since come on board as the director of our Health and Wellness Suite, and she and a few nurses as well. They're out canvassing communities and sharing information. One of the first opportunities we had in terms of canvassing was over here at Holland's Roundhouse Market, at the Holland's Market, where we all situated ourselves around the market, and we began to provide information to any of the patrons or neighbors that were coming there for whatever reason. And we were also trying to have folks signed up for the vaccination. So it wasn't just information. We also then had the ability to sign individuals up to be able to receive the vaccine as well.
That's great. Did you have a lot of people, after they kind of saw you out there and canvassing, they began to build a trust? Did you feel like that?
I did feel that way. I feel like folks are now becoming more trusting of who we are. Because we're really intentional about showing a presence in the community. We've recently started a community canvassing effort that would happen every other Wednesday here. We'll just canvass the area, share information about who we are, what we provide, how they can participate, and we really highlight the fact it's free, right? So the things that's provided here within the Community Engagement Center are free for our neighbors.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you did related to the UMB community directly at the onset of the telework and telestudy period. I remember working with your department on a campaign. It was a thank you card campaign, and we did a Food for the Front Lines campaign. Did you feel that was successful?
So the campaign for supporting our frontline health workers was a huge success because it allowed for us to not only support just the nurses, but also the environmental health workers, as we're able to really pay tribute to the hard work they did. Those individuals were classified as essential, so they had to remain in place, right? So to ensure that they're being recognized, they're being encouraged, because they're seeing so much of the trauma that's happening as a result of COVID, they're continued to be put back in those situations. So we created a program where neighbors and others could simply write thank you cards. We then delivered all of the thank you cards to the frontline workers just to show our appreciation for their hard work.
Right. That was great. And what was exciting about that is that it grew. It started here through the CEC, and then other people heard about it, and it trickled through the grapevine. It wound up being a far-reaching Baltimore program or activity, and we had hundreds and hundreds. We did a thank you video with a lot of those cards. We actually had families and children live, well, not live, virtually. We recorded them live, sending well wishes and thank you messages, and it was on the local news and everything. It was a great campaign,
and it's a great way just to have folks reminded of the fact that what they do is important.
Right.
Showing up every day, constantly experiencing the trauma, the tragedy that's associated with COVID. To see the video with the young people saying thank you for what you do, I'm sure it meant a lot for them.
Right. Now, what about the Food for the Front Lines campaign? That was the brainchild of Laura Kozak, who's the Associate Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs in our office. She worked with Lynn Henry, some of the folks from philanthropy, and I think Madison was a really big leader in that area. all of those meals were able to be served through the Office of Community Engagement, right?
Correct. So the Food for the Frontline Workers is really an effort that's still continuing. We're still working through that through dollars that we have available. And just ensuring that we're able to provide lunches for our youth as well as youth partnering schools that we partner with as well, providing lunches and resources for them.
Okay. And at one point, Jena, you were there working on when we handed not community meals, but lunch meals out to UMB employees who were frontline workers.
I was there. It was great. They were all so very appreciative. Lots of people came out, and it was really amazing that we were able to continue to provide that for frontline workers. Yeah. To give them a little bit of a break. And
that initiated when all of the protocols were still very strong, too. Yes. So I think that the university was able to partner to do such a great event, even when restrictions were there. And it helped our community. It helped the restaurants.
Indeed. And that's one of the things I really do celebrate the university for, is just being super intentional about finding ways to kind of work through the pandemic to be able to support folks in the spaces they need us in.
What I'm taking away from all of the examples that we've talked about is the Office of Community Engagement, led by Ashley Vallis, and then you overseeing the CEC. All of you have been here every day, going out into the community to be that literal face-to-face contact and connection that they've needed. So I just want to say thank you for doing that for the community, because it's just beyond amazing not letting COVID-19 be a barrier to helping our neighbors.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that's the entire team. I've said this and I'll continue to say it because I've shown up pretty much every day since the pandemic hit. There's so much work that's happening from staff, and a lot of it's happening via telework. But it's not just me. We really do have such an awesome team that's really, really grinding just to make sure folks are getting what they need.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now your team has a new space.
New space.
We're here in the brand new CEC building. We're actually in a third floor room with a two-way mirror, a couch, some nice sitting chairs. This is not a recording studio, in case you're wondering. We have our own equipment, but it's a perfect space. And again, thank you for letting us do this here. To reiterate, what's the new address here, and when did you open?
16 South Poppleton, Baltimore City 21201 is the zip code. We opened, I would say, almost a year ago, it seems. Wow. When I say open, not open to the public, right? So we're just now recently reaching a space where we can start having neighbors come in. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Right. So what's your favorite part about the building?
I don't think I have a single favorite part about the building. I'm still continuing to learn the building. I occasionally will just walk through the building just to ensure I'm familiar with the building and what's available. My favorite part, I don't know. I think our kitchen is pretty cool. I think we have a pretty cool kitchen.
Right. It's probably hard to imagine, though, because you haven't seen people use it.
Not yet. No.
Really, except for us.
Right.
I have a vision. I see people using that kitchen. I see programming happening out of the kitchen. So a lot of my excitement really comes from just the vision I have and really seeing folks occupy the space here.
I was going to say my favorite part of this building is the bottom floor where the kitchen, the event space and little auditorium area is. It is so great. And I can just imagine having, the community meals back down there, everyone hanging out. That's maybe the PAL kids can put on a puppet show like they did last year, but actually on a stage within the building. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I am so very excited about when people can finally get back in and we can actually use everything.
Me too. So that's a great space. And we will not just have community lunches, but we will eventually have community dinners as well. I think that's going to be super awesome as well for people. Yeah.
So tell me about some of the event spaces inside of here. How can people reserve it, and when can they start inquiring about maybe using some of the spaces here?
So we're still building out and refining what the request for space process will look like, what all of that looks like. So we're rebuilding it and shaping that. So that's not finalized just yet. However, if someone's interested in using space, they can always call the Community Engagement Center, 410-706-8260, and go ahead and make a request that way, or send an email to engagement@umaryland.edu to make a request as well.
since I'm somewhat obsessed about this room that we're in, tell me why it even has a two-way mirror.
Well, it's a one-way mirror.
One-way mirror, I'm sorry.
No worries. So it's a one-way mirror. So we have 2 rooms here on the 3rd floor in which have a one-way mirror. So this space, one of the benefits we have here is remember, UMB has the resource capital. So I'm able to leverage the resources, expertise, knowledge, and other capacities of the UMB system. That includes the 6 professional schools and the graduate school. So faculty, staff, and students will come here and they will render services or provisions to our neighbors. So in this space, as an example, School of Social Work can potentially come in with a group of students and they'll do mock counseling. Whenever the students are working, mock counseling with neighbors. So whenever the students are working in any capacities with neighbors, faculty and staff have to be present. So there's no microphones in this room. So on the back side, faculty and staff can observe. And the way they'll talk with students is through headsets. They'll be able to communicate that way as students do these mock counseling and drills of things of that nature. When it's not used for a didactic reason, then we will have a screen that covers this window. As an example, we'll do some conflict resolution in this space as well. Some other types of training will occur in which the one-way mirror isn't needed. So it's also important for folks to feel they have a sense of privacy when they're in this space as well. The mirror is only for didactic purposes, as well as the mirror in our health suite as well.
Great. You were talking about essentially the room is built for confidential conversations, right? And which is why this makes so wonderful acoustics for us. So how can people see the building? Are you planning any sort of open house in the fall?
Wonderful question. We are. October 28th, that's the day we've landed on our reopening. So we're looking forward to this huge celebration. We're still working out a lot of the logistics and what that will look like, but the date's confirmed. It will be October 28th, so stay tuned for invitations.
And the great thing is you don't have to wait for the open house because you've been working on events like we talked about. You've been operating under different forms of guidance throughout, but some things have remained the same. Back to the rooms, talk a little bit about what's on that first floor area, because as someone who's been able to be in here and see it, I love that space down there because I think it really speaks to the community.
Sure. So first floor, when you first come in to your left, you'll see our studio. The studio, I think I should probably bag up real quick. So what we provide here are 5 provisions. We do programs, services, supports, trainings, and activities. Each one of those has its own particular portfolio of things that are built under it. So in the studio, under the provision of activities, you'll have our line dancing, yoga, Zumba. We'll also be bringing on some hip hop dancing. No, I won't be the instructor for that one.
You will see me there because I love dancing.
Okay, good stuff. I'm working on a partnership now with UMB PD to bring in a RAD self-defense course training. Just some basic self-defense course training that'll happen in that space. You won't walk out Bruce Lee, but you'll have some basic self-defense course training that'll happen. Tap dancing is one of the things I've heard that people are interested in having in that space. So that's the studio space there. It's a really nice space. One of the walls are completely mirrored. Back out of that space, when you go, you'll see our computer lab. It's very open with the glass windows where you can see in. So we've grown from 12 to 24 computers. So that's our computer lab. Computer lab is also going to be used for trainings. So if someone has a training, as an example, our sister agency partner, UMMC, they have a number of digital literacy trainings or things of that nature they want to do. And they'll utilize our computer lab through request. It's a training they put on. So individuals are able to use the computer lab. We have a smaller computer lab there as well on the first floor.
As we teased about events, we're going to talk about events in our next segment with you. But part of this program is that we want to give people some context because how can I put on an event here at UMB between summer and the fall? So here's the latest events guidance as of this recording on July 12th. Effective July 19th, there are no longer COVID-specific restrictions on how food is served at events. That means food no longer has to be in prepackaged containers. So finally, the cookie tray can return to meetings and events. Buffets and self-serve options can resume following regular food safety guidelines. We have one set of event guidance for the summer. You can have indoor events with up to 50 people and outdoor events with up to 100 people, as long as all UMB COVID-19 health and safety practices are followed. If your event will have more than 10 people attending, then the event holder needs to keep a list of guests for contact tracing. Events larger than the given size limits must be approved by a dean or vice president. An email to COVID recovery is required when 25 or more visitors are attending an event at any one time.
There will not be an event size limit in the fall semester for events that are predominantly composed of UMB or University System of Maryland faculty, staff, and students, as well as guest speakers or caterers who are present at the events. Those are fine. And there will not be an event size limit for the fall semester on outdoor events. At a later date, UMB will be issuing new guidances for indoor events that have a significant number of visitors who are not part of the USM or UMB communities. If you need more immediate guidance, please ask your dean or vice president to contact John Kuskar. There is also an updated visitors guidance at play as well. These are for the people who are not part of the UMB community.
And if you need to find anything else out, it's at www.umaryland.edu/coronavirus. You can find all the updated events guidance you can think about. Now let's get back to Tyrone and the CEC. Even with those guidelines, you can still do quite a bit here. Tell us about some of the events you're able to host and how you're able to pull them off. Let's start off with the Juneteenth Jubilee that you've done recently.
Mm-hmm. So that was done in partnership with some other departments here under the UMB umbrella. We were able to pull that one off because there's a process for how we request programs, activities to happen. So through approval, we were able to host the Juneteenth celebration, which was phenomenal, turned out really well. It was held outdoors. Individuals at the time were required to wear masks to participate. So that's how that was held. It was outdoors. Outdoor activities, events really do allow for us to have a higher capacity number of people because underneath the tent it's free flowing. The air will continue to blow. It's more challenging for enclosed spaces where there's less air circulation.
Sure. And then you also had a community lunch. Mm-hmm. What was that lunch and what were some things that you had to tackle, especially considering there was food involved?
Yeah, so it's outdoors. So one of the initial process is to make the request for what we anticipate on doing. We'll generally provide like a target number of folks that we'll think about potentially engaging. It's tough for the community lunch, so we couldn't do that. So it's outdoor. That's happening every other Wednesday outdoors. It's under the tents. All of the meals have to be prepackaged, so it's not buffet style. Folks aren't coming through selecting items. It's a variety of different prepackaged foods or lunches that folks will come, select their meal, and then a bottle of water is provided for them.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
So when is the next community lunch?
Next Wednesday.
Who we getting the food from?
We have not determined that yet. We have some really good group of vendors that we partner with. All are locally within the Southwest Baltimore footprint. So we're not exactly sure who will be the next vendor for a meal next Wednesday.
I'm crossing my fingers for Neapol Smokery because they are so good.
Yeah. The next one will be on August 4th, and then the next one after that will be August 18th.
All right. So make sure you write those dates down and come on out, get a free lunch.
And they're always at noon, right?
Always at noon, from noon to 1. Okay. Be early. Lunches go fast.
What do you have to account for when you're planning some of these upcoming events? Because now we're able to do some things indoors too.
The biggest thing is the reduction of risk, the reduction in the spread of COVID. So my lens is always ensuring that I'm first really mindful of ensuring there's no risk being added to the university. So whenever we put any event on, that's where my initial lens goes, just to make sure we're providing things in a very safe manner. And then from there, it's about a plan. We talk about the flow of traffic, how individuals will come in, how they'll exit the process, what's going to be provided, how are we keeping staff safe and our neighbors safe that participate in these events. So that's a lot of the thinking. It's a lot of a risk reduction lens that has to be on when we're shaping out these programs.
How does it feel to be able to see community members again in a new space? You've been seeing them throughout the pandemic, but now you're seeing them in kind of sort of like different contexts.
It's refreshing for me because I'm starting to get feedback on a center that I've been part of for so long. Many of the team members as well have already been part of this. So it's refreshing to have folks come in and see their excitement, see this new excitement about their community engagement center.
Now, you have another event to preview, and we'll tell people how to learn more about signing up for these. Rec to Tech sounds like a cool program. I see it involves robots and laser cutters. Tell me more.
So that's through a partnership we have with Under Armour. So our Rec to Tech program eventually will transition into a space at the James McHenry Rec Center, where we'll be renovating a portion of the Rec Center. We'll then take our STEM program nested inside of the Rec Center. So it allows for the young folks that are students of James McHenry Elementary Middle School to participate, and other youth for after hours. So it's taking a STEM model, placing it into a recreation environment, and that's the reason for that. So that's what that's about. And for all of the programs, any program, individuals can simply call and or send an email to engagement@umaryland.edu or register for our newsletter, in which we have a QR code, and they could register that way.
Great. We'll tease that at the end as well.
The Rec to Tech program, actually, that started in the middle of the pandemic and started virtual, right? And then it transitioned to a hybrid, and now people are in person, being able to actually use the tools that are here in the Community Engagement Center. Is that right?
That's true. And that's true for many of our programs, but the Rec to Tech program started completely virtually, and it then went through a hybrid model, and we're now actually having young folks and adults participate in this. That's one of the big priorities of mine, is making sure we have a really intentional lens on our older adult population.
That's actually a perfect transition, because the next thing we wanted to talk about was the adult art classes that you all had just started.
Yeah. They love it.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it. So we have older adults and adults that will come in after work, and they find it so therapeutic just to participate in the art classes we have. So we're working on creating more canned programs here, as opposed to special projects that last 6 to 8 weeks. So this art class is something that it'll definitely remain here within the Community Engagement Center.
And that's another free program.
All of them are free.
Open to all ages. How about the photography program? Does that fall right in line?
The photography program was a partnership we had it's not a canned program. It's something we're looking at being able to sustain long term. That was a great program. Individuals were able to sign up, learn about photography, and receive a free camera.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm. And there's also Art with a Heart partnership, where they're putting together a mural for the new building. How can people get involved? Is it too late?
It's not too late. We're actually actively recruiting individuals to sign up for our mural project. Again, that's the best way for folks to sign up is really calling and or sending an email. If you get access to our newsletter, there is the QR code that folks can scan with their phone to register for the mural project.
And we can also put that link in the description of this podcast so that people can sign up.
Yes.
And the dates that people can sign up for start actually next week, right?
Right. That's right.
So
we need people.
Perfect timing.
Great. Do we have any other programs that we missed?
Yes, actually, we also want to get to talking about Workforce Wednesday, which is a program run by the wonderful Lisa Rawlings that helps adults, even some like college students maybe, who are trying to put together their resume and their cover letter and really getting them connections with ways to get hired in a job.
That's right. So Workforce Wednesdays at the beginning of the pandemic went to a virtual experience. Lisa was savvy enough to be able to create a virtual opportunity where folks could join her through Facebook to go through that process. So Workforce Wednesdays continues to happen every Wednesday from 2 to 5.
And how about Maker Mondays? Is it making a return?
It will make a return. Again, we're in the process now of identifying those programs that are sustainable, that we can continue to move forward. Maker Monday continues to be a success, though.
What do you get to do there, and who can sign up?
Maker Monday is part of our STEM program that's facilitated by Bernard Schmidt. He's our program coordinator. So it's a lot of the STEM programming as part of Maker Monday. They'll be participating in various projects utilizing vinyl cutters, 3D printers, things of that nature. So it's a STEM program for youth and adults.
Well, thank you, Tyrone. Mm-hmm. That I have learned a lot. It sounds like even though we're still transitioning back to campus, you have been more than busy.
Indeed.
Again, if you're interested in registering or learning more about the programs Tyrone mentioned, email
troper@umaryland.edu
or call
410-706-8260.
You can learn more about the Community Engagement Center and the Office of Community Engagement by subscribing to their newsletter at
engagement@umaryland.edu.
And you can also stay up to date on all of the things happening at the Community Engagement Center through their social media channels. You can follow them on Instagram at UMB_community_engagement and on Facebook at facebook.com/UMB Community Engagement. Thank you again, Tyrone, so much for coming and
Thank you all for
talking with us.
Wow, you know what? This sounds like there's so much going on here at the CEC.
I'm sure people are happy that some of the fitness classes are returning to the CEC, but you can also work up a sweat now at UREC Fit and Wellness.
Our next episode will feature Julia Whiteman and Jimmy Heiner of University Recreation Fitness and Wellness. They will tell us about what it's like working out at UREC Fit now and how they got through the pandemic.
Hey, maybe this will be my new fitness podcast. Listen to it while you're walking.
Or a jog if you think we're upbeat.
Either way, hey, we got to run, everybody, and thank you for listening to the UMB Pulse.
The UMB Pulse with Charles Shalee, Dana Rampolla, and Jena Frick is a UMB Office of Communications and Public Affairs production. Edited by Charles Shalee, sound engineering by Jena Frick, marketing by Dana Rampolla, music by No Vibe, recorded in the University of Maryland, Baltimore Community Engagement Center.